Big congratulations to Portland182. Thanks for commenting, subscribing, and liking the video. Enjoy your trending list. At the table, like I do every week, with Russ, the comic book sensei, Overstreet Price Guide advisor. How you feeling, man?
I am good, Tom. How about yourself?
It's a little tough week, dude, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. We got out of here after recording last time, and the news was that Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, had passed away from colon cancer.
Yeah, very unexpected, very surprising, stopped everybody in their tracks.
Absolutely.
Chatting with the whole team all week about this stuff. Comic fam, there's going to be a lot of stuff on this trending comics list that is going to be related to Black Panther news. And sometimes comic book trending is about speculation, indeed.
That is right, Tom. You know what? Sometimes it is about spec, and sometimes it is about respect.
Ooh, I like how you said that, Russ. Comic fam, hit the subscribe button. We do this for you every single week, and if you would do us a solid, hit that like button. All right, let's start the list out at number 10 with some Cameo discussion. I want to hear the community's thoughts in the comment section below because we're going to be chatting about 2014's Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1. This right here, we knew to be a minor key for some time, but because we're seeing average sales at $5, all right, we're seeing a high at 9.8, hitting right around the $90 for this book right now, and for good reason. We'll get to that later on the list. But this right here features within the first 2 pages a retcon. Gold balling some stuff here back in 2015, right? We see on page 1 the origin story of Peter Parker, the one we all know, where he gets bitten by the spider. But did you know that so much can happen in a few quick seconds? And that's what happens on page 2. We find out that that spider doesn't just bite Peter, but it also lands on the ankle of someone very important, Cindy Moon, who would later become Silk. This right here is the first appearance in Cameo of Cindy Moon. We see her get bit by the spider. This is an origin. But does this matter? To collectors, clearly it does. To me, it does. What do you think about this, Russ?
Tom, you're right. I mean, the cameo versus first appearance, it is very important. And this was a sleeper for a long time because not that many people were paying attention to the shadowy girl whose ankle got bitten until a couple issues later.
Clearly, an appearance of any kind, whether brief or not, matters to collectors because we're seeing an increase of copies sold of 467% of this issue for reasons we'll get to later on the list. Stay tuned. What do we got at number 9?
Number 9 on the list, we have Haunted Mansion from Slave Labor Graphics. This comic book is a low print run book. It's got fantastic art by Roman Dirge, who you'll know from the Lenore comic books, but we now have information that there is a movie coming out that has been written by Katie Dippold, who also helped write Ghostbusters.
Dude, you love rides. Like, this is something that I've discovered about you. Your love for comics, but dude, I do not like rides. I'm not somebody who goes to the festivals or carnivals to like potentially lose my legs because that's what's going to happen. And those things are rickety. They're old. I don't do that kind of stuff. But every time you go out, you're like, oh, we did this ride.
Well, I like roller coasters and understand that a roller coaster and like a Disneyland classic ride are very, very different. This is not going to Six Flags and doing the Cyclone or anything like that. The Haunted Mansion is a ride. It's kind of one of those, it's not necessarily a lazy boat ride. You're in a spinner and you spin around and you go through, here's a graveyard and here is a cemetery and here is where all of the dead people are. And for the time, it was really, really incredible because it's got these like camera tricks and this projection on silk. So you see haunting and apparitions. My kids love this ride. Aria, who was 5 when she went to Disneyland, went on this ride so many times. She kept dragging me back to the Haunted Mansion because she wanted to see the scary ghosts.
So this is seeing an increase of copies sold of over 760%. What are we seeing for prices? Because this isn't something people were speccing on.
So $10 for an average high, and we're seeing a high $25 raw sale. There is a 9.8 double cover graded error for $370, but we're not seeing a whole lot of these slave labor graphics books out there because the print run is so low. You have to keep in mind that after Disney bought Marvel, Marvel released a string of Disney theme park related comic books, and there was the Enchanted Tiki Room comic, and there was another Haunted Mansion comic. Those Haunted Mansion comics, the second series, are also seeing a renewed interest. The really, really rare ones to find are the ones that were only available at the Disney parks themselves. Those are selling for a ton and moving fast.
They sold them at the ride, like at the gift shop. You had to buy them while you were there. Hopefully you kept them safe. At the list at number 8, foreshadowing it earlier. Sometimes it's about speculation, trending markets moving in a short 7 days. But sometimes it is about respect. And we're talking about Kirby, Black Panther goodness. We have Black Panther issue number 1, the first solo Black Panther comic book. We're seeing this book bought aggressively this week, and we're seeing some major gains on it as well. 989% increase in copies sold. This is an expensive book, but on average it goes for $120 because, there's a lot of lower grade copies because this run is so damn good. Comic fam, you got to read this. You got to not just read the Black Panther solo story, go get yourself the Jungle Action. Like one of the best comic book stories of all time. This comic book, we're seeing highs at $1,000 at 9.8. And we also saw a very special collectible hit the market this last week, a 9.8 Stan Lee signed copy selling for $2,800.
Tom, I love this solo series. And knowing that Jack Kirby created Black Panther and used Black Panther so rarely throughout the Silver Age, it was very, very nice to be able to see Black Panther actually get his own series and Jack Kirby do as much with him as he could.
Looking at the list at number 7, we see something here that I believe is very telling because the community kind of collectively speaks through the comics that they buy. And part of the conversation this week has been largely about what's going to happen for the future MCU. Will we see Black Panther be recasted, or will we see Black Panther pass the torch? And I think it's very clear what the community wants based off of the comics they are purchasing.
That is absolutely right, Tom. Number 7 on the list, we are seeing Black Panther number 1 from 2009. Now, the community is speaking, and the community is speaking loudly. The amount of respect for Chadwick Boseman right now is so incredibly loud. It's like the beating drums of the jungle. We are hearing people over and over again, do not recast his role. So a lot of people are getting behind this whole idea of having his sister, Shuri, take over the Black Panther mantle. And this comic book is the first time she shows up on the cover.
But it is not cover A.
Now, she appears as Black Panther later in the series, but we actually end up seeing her on the cover, both cover A and cover B of issue number 1, a little bit of foreshadowing, kind of like Kamala Khan.
Yeah, it's interesting that they featured her in the Black Panther costume on both cover A and the variant, but it is the variant that is making the list, but both are selling aggressively.
1,700% increase for this Lashley wraparound cover. We are seeing $55 average sales and a high sale of $275 for a CGC 9.8.
Now, keep in mind, there is a J. Scott Campbell, a JSC variant that is aggressively spiking just like this variant we're talking about. However, I did notice a sketch variant that he was selling at New York City Comic Con around this time that sold for over $600 last month.
Well, the good boy of comics has done such a fantastic job with these variants, and it's really, really great to see a sketch variant like this show up on the list. There is also a New York Comic Con variant that is signed by Stan Lee and J. Scott Campbell, graded at 9.8, that someone's trying to get over $12,000 for. Good luck on that one, bud.
Yeah, I don't think that is a spec worth buying.
No.
However, this next one on the list surprised me. Let's look at number 6 on the list because for real, comic fam, this is 100% honesty. I had never seen The Karate Kid, any of the movies, until 2 weeks ago.
Shit.
For real, though, I was chatting and I'm like, I've never seen this movie. And it was like, how have you never seen this movie? I watched it. Holy smokes, this is a fantastic movie. I'm looking for like Karate Kid shirts to wear. And then I was pleasantly surprised to see, wait, not just 1, but 2 seasons of the continuation of this movie hit Netflix. For those of you who didn't know, we have, well, let's get the comic on the screen. Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid saga continues, the comic book on the list today, selling for a respectable $4 average sales, but seeing a huge uptick in copies sold since the drop of this new acquired Netflix series. 1,500% increase in copies sold in this last week. Now, you may be going, why are there 2 seasons? What's going on? Well, they didn't just get really excited and posted 2 seasons for everybody. This was a show that was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Who knew that a YouTube show would find so much success that after Netflix acquired them, it would become the #1 most watched show in America?
this just cracks open the egg for any other type of intellectual properties that YouTube or, could have worked on. The fact that this, even though it was something that people do know and respect and love, can turn into something so much larger. It's a good sign.
Keep an eye out for the 1 in 10. It's got a cool logo on it, but it's the 1 in 25 that's going for $50. And I can't imagine a lot of people buying these books when they came out. And I'm just going to call it right now because it is an homage to the classic movie. I mean, I just saw it, so I can tell you. They captured the moment so well. All of the kids, the antagonists dressed up. I'm calling this the MCR variant. This is Black Parade, My Chemical Romance, shout out Gerard Way variant, and I'm hunting for it. And I don't even care what you say.
Moving on quickly to number 5, Batman 92, the 1 per store variant. We knew this was going to be hot. We knew that this was going to be a book that everyone was going to be freaking out.
But did you think that it would sell for over $700 pre-sale, Russ? We're talking about Batman 92, the 1 per store punchline variant.
The instant they gave us a thank you email letting us know that we would be getting 1 per store copy of this, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, cool, we'll see it. And I immediately went to eBay to see what people were pre-selling them for. And some dude had it up for $750. And it was crazy because this is the type of thing that if yours comes damaged or yours comes messed up or you happen to not receive it, like I have heard a bunch of stores aren't actually receiving theirs, you're out. You're just SOL. I mean, it's not a good thing, so don't pre-sell comics like this, especially if it's a 1 per store. Now, this book came out this week and was selling aggressively. There are a ton of people selling theirs. On auction, we are seeing these go $300, $320, $330. It seems to be going in that range, but we also have the people who just want to get them gone. We're seeing buy it nows for $200 to $250. So the price is not settled on this one. Obviously, the pre-sale of $750 was a little bit aggressive and probably a little bit optimistic, but even looking at it in the $250 to $300 range, I mean, when we figure out how many shops actually don't get a copy, and if the rumors are true that the shops that didn't move to Lunar or UCS fast enough aren't going to get them at all,
I'm hearing that rumor too.
We may end up seeing the price go even higher. I would just tell people to wait on this book. I love this book. I know there's not a lot of them out there.
George Jimenez killed it with this variant. This is gorgeous.
I do like this variant way more than that Art Germ variant
Same.
for the same book, 92. But like I said, the price on this one, if you can get it for a good deal and you really want to put it in your personal collection, great. But we have no idea where this is going long term.
At the list at number 4. Oh my goodness, comic fam. This is why you have to be checking out Key Collector Comics. It's available for both Androids and iPhones. There is an optioned indies category that you gotta be routinely checking. There are so many independent titles to keep track of, and sometimes when one starts to move, holy smokes, do they move fast. And this next one on the list caught so many people by surprise. There were 0 sales of this book prior to a week ago. Let's get 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank, issue number 1, right on the screen. We knew back in 2019, Matthew Rosenberg, courtesy of Key Collector Comics, was reportedly writing a screenplay for this comic book. Now, September 2020, we are seeing that Picture Start has won the bidding war. They are going to take this, it's like Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs meets Wes Anderson vibe comic book to the screen. $12 average sales, but get this, 76 copies sold in 7 days.
And that's incredible compared to the 0 copies that were sold the week before. This book was not on anyone's radar for a while.
That's why you got to be watching all of these option indies. I think there's over 140 titles currently being monitored on the category on the app. I also want to mention that this is a great example of how you can kind of spec on variants, because sometimes an independent title has like multiple variants. They really like to flood the market with options to try to move the book. A lot of the time, the cover A is really what holds its value, unless it's like a really big writer like Donny Cates or something like that. In this case, they actually took 2 different variants to the press to be sold and raffled at 2 different conventions the same year that this comic was released. Only 50 copies made of each variant, and they're both exceeding $100. So that's why you got to be watching these variants and how you can assess whether or not it's the cover that you should be speculating on or the print count, because scarcity right here is winning for this title.
Number 3 on the list, we have Silk, number 1. Cindy Moon's first solo series.
We told you we would come back to it, Comic Fam.
So Silk #1, the first solo series starring Cindy Moon, selling 1,000% increase over last week. We are seeing $18 raw sales with a high of $199 at a 9.8. I mean, we've been talking about whether it's going to be Spider-Woman or potentially Silk for quite some time, and it really seems like this is the one that everyone is getting behind. Silk is just such a popular character, and it's just one that I think a lot of people want to see.
Recently, we were speculating that Olivia Wilde would be bringing someone from the Spider-Verse to the big screen, but we didn't know who. We didn't even know if it was a spider character, but what we did see was her posting a spider web emoji, which gives us reason to believe that she's taking a very strong, powerful female character to the screen. But which one? Now, Spider-Woman naturally started to spike, but this last week we're seeing members of the community start to point to Silk as the possible character, possibly a live action show, maybe? Are these the same spec? Are these two different franchises both getting some love? Or is it going to be one or the other? My vote is Silk.
And for those of you that are interested, you only have 10 days left to sign up for our mystery mail call, including this incredible Thor #7 variant by Dos Pastores.
Hit the link in the description. You help support what we do here, but you also give us an opportunity to send you comics every month. And this month, we're not just sending out Thor #7 Heat from Spain. This thing's a work of fine art, man. We are also hooking up every single member with one of either the color or black and white version of TMNT 109, an homage to X-Men 173, shout out Paul Smith, by John Boy freaking Myers. Link in the description to join, and let's chat about #2.
#2 on the list, we are seeing Black Panther #5 from the 2009 series. And this is the first time that we see Shuri actually as Black Panther.
Yeah, we see her take on the mantle, and it is epic. She sleeves up as if it was Tales of Suspense 39, and she is featured in full. That last page spread is legendary.
2,233% increase. We are seeing $80 raw sales and a high sale of $340 at a CGC 9.8. But the really interesting thing is that there is a price variant on this, Tom.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know that there was either, but apparently the regular cover has a $2.99 price, and the variant version has a $3.99 price variant.
So it's only worth like $1 more, right?
Oh my gosh, $900 at a CGC 9.8 is what the sale was of this price variant. So check your books, guys, because it's a big one.
Oh my goodness. What interesting purchases the community's making this week, because we don't just have cameos. We have first appearances on covers, on variants, on cover Bs, on second prints, and now we are seeing at the very top of the list the in-story appearances being the most like valuable keys that the collectors want right now. This is very telling.
Tom, that's a great way to be able to segue into #1 on the list.
Comic fam, hit that subscribe button, slap that like button. We will be doing a giveaway at the end of the video, so stay tuned. We have Black Panther issue #2 making the list. And this book is from 2005, the first appearance of Shuri in comic books.
So we saw this book spike when the Black Panther movie came out, but because, again, the respect in the community for Chadwick Boseman, people are really getting behind this idea that his sister Shuri is going to be taking the Black Panther mantle. Well, her first appearance is moving at an incredible pace, 1,017% increase with a $170 raw sale for this book. We are also seeing $800 for a CGC 9.8. I mean, this is an incredible book of an incredible character.
Clearly, the community wants the mantle passed down. They want to leave his legacy intact. He did his role. He became the icon. He became the Black Panther. And to me, and I think to a lot of members of this comic book community, this family that we have here, they will always consider Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa.
I agree.
Comic fam, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Nothing but love on the internet this week, and really the last few weeks. It's been a tough year, and I just want to let you know that it was a weird week, but I looked forward to this day hitting the table with you, Russ, and the comic fam, and it really helped me get through it. So I just want to thank you, and as always,
geek responsibly.
Enough said. Comic fam, we have a Wolverine #1 in Hyukli variant that could be yours if you comment, like, and subscribe. We also have other videos that you can check out. You know, we want to keep you entertained.